partners. I've called this a meeting to discuss some serious town business. Firstly, I know the memory of recently departed old Sheriff Hamlet still lingers in our Berg Street like a big giant tumbleweed, while his body is a-laying in the bone orchard. But, however, during such sad times, we must think of the town, which is why I've gotten hitched with Gertrude here, who is no longer my sister-in-law, but my wife. And I'd just like to thank you all for supporting us in our marriage. Thank you. Now to other business. That good-for-nothing outlaw Fortinbras from the next town over has threatened us to surrender the land to old Sheriff, God rest his soul, won from the old Fortinbras in a duel. I wrote a letter to the lad's uncle about this caboodle, and now I'm going to have bold Amanda Cornelius here deliver it to him. Get a wiggle on it, vamoose!
Of course, Sheriff, our loyalty to you knows no bounds.
And now, scholarly Laertes, do tell what you've been up to. I believe you have a favor to be asking me. Now what is it? And don't beat around the bush when talking to the sheriff of this here town. There ain't nothing that you can ask for that I'll decline, you and your father being so close and beloved to the law enforcement. So now, do tell, what is it?
Why, Sheriff, sir, I beg your permission to return back to the big city, which I took leave from to return to this here town for your installment as sheriff. And now that the ceremony be complete, my thoughts are wandering back over to the city, and I got a hankering to return. Please, Sheriff, is it alright if I head back?
How did your father be feeling about this?
Well, Claude, after a long while, Ham and his belly aching finally talked me into letting him go off yonder. It's fine by me for him to slide.
Why then, by all means, I ain't to be keeping you here, Laertes. You best be off now. Take care of yourself. No need to hang fire. And now, to my nephew Hamlet, who was newly my son.
A little more in kin and far less than kind.
How is it that you are still so down in the dark and gloomy dumps?
But rather, Sheriff, on the contrary, I'm dreadfully in the sun.
My sweet Hamlet, stop belly aching and be kind to the dear sheriff. I do's believe 'tis time to shuck off those morning clothes, sweetheart. Don't be wasting your life staring at the ground and remembering your old pop. Death be it's inevitable in its nature. All that are born must cash in, my son.
By jingo, you're right, Mother. Happens all the time.
Then by golly, why seem it so particular with you?
Well, I reckon. Seems, Mother, but rather it is. I know not seems. It ain't my dark morning clothes, nor my heavy sighs, nor my weeping, nor my lowered eyes, nor any other display of despair that shows truly what I be feeling. These be just the objects of grief. Any impostor could use them to fake the feeling. But I ain't just like this on the surface, Ma. It goes far deep inside me bones. This here apparel is just a small portion of the grief I'd be feeling.
Why, dear sweet Hamlet, it be so kind of ye to mourn ye old dad like ye have. But ye best remember that ye pa lost his pa and his pa before him. Each time the son must mourn his pa for a respectful amount of time and then move right along, for it ain't so manly after a while. 'Tisn't what our Heavenly Father desires, and he betrays ye with such a vulnerable heart and a limbsy mind. Son, we all must pass sooner or later. Why takes it to ye heart? All fathers must die, son, so go ahead and give up this ere mourning business of yours and start considering me your new pop. 'Tis widely known that this job of mine is yours should anything happen to me, and that I love ye just as any pop loves a boy. Stay with us, Hamlet, in our loving company as our beloved deputy, nephew, and my son.
I beg ye answer my prayers, Hamlet, and stay with us. Don't return yonder to Wittenberg.
I'll obey ye as best I can, Mother.
Well, 'tis a loving and a fair reply. Stay here in this here town with us, son. Come, my lovely wife. Hamlet's agreement marks me rather happy, and every toast I make today will be hearing in the clouds up above. My drinking will just be echoing in the heavens. Vamos!
Why, I am just fit to be tied. Oh, how's I wish my filthy flesh would just melt away into dew. or that the heavenly fire above had not made such a forbiddance against suicide. Oh almighty, I was very stale, flat, and unprofitable this here world is. My oh my, 'tis an unkempt cactus field turned to tumbleweeds. Oh, what's the world to become? So plumb full of nasty things. Has been known longer, not even 2 months since my old pa passed away. Such a bang-up sheriff he was. I superior my uncle as a 6-shooter to a soft horse. My pop was so loving towards my mom, he wouldst have the gust of God's wind brush her face too rough. Oh almighty, how she adored him. Every minute she spent on him, she desired 10 more. Oh, how she would get enough of him. But nay, not nearly 1 month from him passing. Halt, let me not dwell upon it. Oh woman, y'all is so sappy. Oh my mother, how she hadn't even broken in the shoes she wore to my father's funeral when she was crying rather wildly. Even a wild buffalo would mourn for longer than she. And there she was marrying my uncle, my own father's brother, who is about as similar to my pa as I am to Black Jack Ketchum. Under a month since my father's passing, before she even dried her eyes with the tears she shed, and she's already married my uncle. Why, and how she climbed into the bed faster than one could split and holler howdy. No good could possibly come from all this, but shut pan I must. Let the cat eat my tongue.
Howdy, deputy.
It sure is bully to see you well, Horatio.
Sir, your humble follower as always.
My good pal, you mean? So what brings you all this way from Wittenberg, partner? Howdy, Marcellus.
Deputy, sir.
I'm dreadfully glad to see you. Howdy, pard. But do tell, what has brought you from Wittenberg?
Well, you know, I'm just an idle deadbeat.
By my word, I ne'er let no liar call you a deadbeat, not even yourself. But what are you doing here in town? We'll be sure to have a couple of whiskeys longer while you're here.
Sir, I'm here to see your pa's funeral.
Oh, don't you make a chucklehead of me, partner. You're here to see my ma's wedding.
Well, I reckon it did come mighty soon after.
Yes, Horatio, the victuals from the funeral were served at the wedding jamboree. So, who would believe it? I can just see my old pa now.
Where, sir?
In my head, Horatio.
I did see him once. He was a bully sheriff.
He was a bang-up man, fine as gravy. I reckon there'll never be another that can hold a candle to him.
Actually, sir, I do reckon I saw him last night.
What in tarnation? My old man? The sheriff?
Sir, if you please let me explain.
In God's name, do tell. Don't dilly-dally, man.
2 evenings in a row, these 2 fellas, Marcellus and Barnardo, on their way home from a long day's work, had met with a specter in the spitting image of your pa at the old abandoned mine. Was dressed just like him too, from the hat on his head to the spurs on his boots. This apparition appeared and approached them with a swaggering gait. 3 times did he walk by the poor fellas, scared to death they were, with a revolver in his hand, and these men did nothing at all to speak to it. They confided their secret in me, and last night I departed with them to see the spirit for myself. These are honest fellas, and as they said, the apparition appeared. It was your pa, I'm assured.
Where'd all this happen?
Down by the abandoned mine, sir.
And y'all didn't speak to it?
I did, sir, but the spirit didn't make a peep. Once I reckoned it appeared like it would speak, but a rooster crowed for the coming of dawn, and vision up and left.
Sure is strange. My mind is filled with such frustration.
Indeed, sir, we reckon that we ought to tell you.
Of course, fellas, but this unsettles me. Are y'all heading back tonight?
Indeed, sir.
Had his gun, you say?
Yes, sir, his lucky revolver.
And his hat?
Yes, and his badge.
But you didn't see his face, did you?
Indeed, sir, his hat was tilted back.
Did he look as mad as March hare?
He appeared more gloomy and dumpish than enraged.
And his skin?
As pale as gun smoke.
Did he look at you?
Indeed, like a man staring down his opponent in a duel.
If only I'd been there.
Would have bamboozled you, sir.
I reckon so. Did the apparition stay for long?
About the duration it would take a part to count 100.
Nah, I reckon longer than that.
Well, not when I saw it, it didn't.
Was his beard gray like the dusty carriage roads?
He looked as he did when he was above snakes, a beard of dark gray.
I'll accompany you tonight, and perhaps I'll see the spirit.
I reckon you will.
If it appears as my pa, by golly, I'll speak to it, even if all the devils and blazes try and stop me. I beg y'all to keep this business dry, and no matter how the cat jumps, you mustn't breathe a word of it to any soul. You hear? I'm dreadful grateful to y'all. Farewell, fellas, and I'll meet you by the abandoned mine between 11 o'clock and midnight.
We'll be waiting for you yonder, sir.
Much obliged, partners. Fare you well. My pop's apparition in his work clothes. And Daisy. I suspect danger. Oh, I wish it were night already. I must hold my horses till then, and all will be revealed, despite how a pard might try to keep it dry.